Welcome to our webinar today on payments. So today we basically want to go through the best practices to save you a ton of time and boost your cash flow, all while increasing that guest flexibility, which is going to make our guests really happy. So we're going to cover a ton of features like payment types, payment plans, BPay, PayPal, new book payments, and a ton more. So basically, by the end of this webinar, you should have a ton of simple and actionable strategies to basically earn more revenue and to reduce your manual labor and increase your guest satisfaction, which are all fantastic things. Cool. But before we begin, we're going to start with a quick fun poll. So our lovely Ida is going to pop something on your screen. We'll just keep it open for about a minute. So if you want to click on into those and see which of the following best describes the payment options you currently provide at your property. So while she does that one, we'll jump into just our add payment screen. So some of those are our credit card gateway, so our payment gateway, where we can quickly click into those to take our guest credit cards or store those so that our guests can book with our credit card gateway online. Our integrated FPOS terminal for our US team in Canada, I believe that is called our credit card terminal, same kind of thing, being able to shoot through those payments directly to our FPOS machine rather than having to type them in manually. Does obviously decrease a lot of manual staff errors, which is very convenient and does save a lot of time. But we also have extra options that we're going to go through as well. Okay, I think basically good about 75% of us have completed that. We'll just give it a quick second more for anybody else that wants to pop in their information. Otherwise, we'll share the results. Cool, awesome. So 33% only have that credit card gateway, with over half of us having both that payment gateway and our integrated FPOS. So that is fantastic. Definitely, if you haven't looked at it, it's probably worth having a chat to our lovely team. I don't have any integrated payment processors, so that's actually quite small, actually bigger than what I expected, about 10%. If you haven't, we'll definitely be touching on that credit card gateway a little bit later and how amazing that is. If anybody else wants to pop in the chat how useful a credit card gateway is to your business, I'd love to hear that in the chat as well. And fantastic, absolutely none of you said that you weren't aware that there are other options. So brilliant, that is so good to hear. We're going to go through even extra ones of these options today, and we're going to start really simple. So everybody's aware of this page here, these three little buttons that appear every time we go to take a payment. But we also have a whole heap of options, and some of these you might not have seen before when you've clicked your manual payment button. Now, these feed through from your payment types. Ooh, helps if I click into that button. Types. Ooh. Payment types. There we go. So this list gives a ton of different options that you can add as different ways your guests can make payments or that your staff can record those payments. Now, some of these do require an additional integration or license or thing to set up, but other ones are available to kind of jump in and pay or add or remove. One handy one down the bottom is actually this none. So if there's something here that you need something for, but it just doesn't exist, you can use this none option. Some clients have used this for like external vouchers, maybe that you might collect from your guests that you need some way of recording that that payment took place. And the really cool thing with that one as well is if you click on that little none button, it actually takes you to instance translations. If you haven't jumped to this page, it is fantastic. It basically allows you to translate certain words on your page, which means you can change the word none to voucher, external business, I don't know, whatever extra that you want to record a different payment type. So really quick, really easy, really customizable. But we'll jump back to our remaining payment types. Another one that is really handy is funds transfer. Now, the reason I want to point this one out is we all know that our guests, when they go online, they can use Visa and MasterCard. That one's kind of stock standard. But things like funds transfer or bank transfer, did you know you could have it available online for your website? So when guests are going to the checkout page, they can actually see that this is an option for them. Now, if I refresh my online checkout page, oh, hold on, I might need to jump back a little bit there. Let's make a nice little booking for Christmas. It'll be here before you know it. Book now. And jump into my checkout page. Scrolling down the bottom. So, as we know before, as I was saying, we do have those Visa and MasterCard options. I'm sure most of you already have, but you've got also this option here now of funds transfer. Now, it's really clear, obviously being a bank transfer or funds transfer, that it isn't possible to be confirmed right away because the guest will have to jump to their bank to send that money across. But it is also really clear that you can send that booking request and an invoice will be sent by email. So basically, NewBook will automatically send an email with all those payments instructions so that guests can go ahead and choose that other payment method instead. Down the bottom, once again, it's super clear. It is a booking request. They are requesting to make that that booking because we do want to make sure we are getting that payment, or they can continue and just place the booking using that normal kind of Visa or MasterCard method, which will allow them to actually take that payment and process and drop that payment into the NewBook system all at once. Now, with this particular method, there are some nice little settings you can kind of play around with. One of those is our NewBook Online setting of days in advance to accept non-credit card payments. Now, this means those methods like funds transfer or banks transfer, they might not be available up until 7 days, up until 7 days before that guest is due to arrive, meaning that your guest has plenty of time to go ahead and jump in to do that bank transfer, and you have plenty of time to just double check they have. You also have the option to jump into this little instance setting for auto cancel. So if a guest is absolutely terrible at remembering it, we've sent them through all those instructions, but they just haven't. You can choose how long that booking will automatically cancel. Now that could be 3 days, that could be 14 days, completely up to you. You can set that and save. But it just simply means that if they haven't paid that deposit, it doesn't move to confirmed, so that booking will cancel out of your system. So it doesn't hold any availability. There's no kind of risk there for you. Everything will open up nicely. And you don't even need to follow up if you don't want to. However, another cool thing you can do with that auto cancel is auto contact. So in auto contact, there is a filter. Oh, sorry, there is a setting of before an unconfirmed cancellation. So before an auto cancel. So if you wanted to, you could have guests having that flexibility of doing funds transfers or other kinds of payments, but by using that auto cancel, you can set them reminders to obviously go ahead and pay if they haven't done so in a reasonable time. So lots of automation here that reduce a ton of staff work and still allowing your guests to be informed of, hey, this is what you need to do, or this is the steps that need to take place, or otherwise you're going to lose your booking, so that they are informed and don't just rock up at the property without paying, which we definitely do not want. So lots of ideas in that area there for you. A few of the other payment options that we have over here. One of them is just, it works very simple. It is available only for our Australian clients. Sorry, guys, which is BPay. BPay basically works like funds transfer. It's an electronic payment method that guests in Australia are able to log into their little banking app or and basically choose where they want to send a payment. So kind of, once again, like our bank transfer. But the cool thing is with BPay integration, it will actually drop right into the client account in NewBook that it is set to drop into. You can even set it so it's not just going to Bob's Booking 123 client account, saving us a ton of time trying to figure out which payment in our bank is linked to which booking, which is always lots of fun. but it will drop in automatically. And you can, if you want to, switch those settings so it's even per sub client account. So, or basically, if Bob has booking 123 and he has accommodation option or electricity little options, it can actually drop into the right one in within that. So if he is just paying for his accommodation versus electricity, it drops in exactly where it needs to. So there isn't a headache trying to match the payments that you receive in your bank to where they need to appear in your book. Unfortunately, once again, just for our Aussie clients. But we do have lots more options available. We have this one here, which is PayPal. Everyone should be pretty on top of PayPal. It is a fantastic online payment method. You probably used it when shopping online. Basically, what this means is by clicking that little button, it will open a login to their PayPal portal. They can pop in their email address and make that payment through PayPal. Now, the handy thing with that one, and we've probably all had this scenario, where we've had the option to enter our credit card details or click that PayPal option when purchasing things online. And we've all gone PayPal because remembering our email is super easy, and trying to remember what our card number, if anyone does that, is amazing. I have got that memory. And even just jumping to your banking app, that's way more hassle than I want to do when I'm buying a beautiful pair of shoes. So this is generally a really quick option. It also offers that buyer protection, so guests feel a lot more secure when making payments with that method. So that's a really cool option there as well. There's also this one here, which is ZipPay. We have an integration with them. If you haven't heard of ZipPay, it is a fantastic tool. For guests, it's super easy to get an account. And basically, just like PayPal, you can click this link. It will create a lovely pop-up where guests can pop in or log in using their Zip information. But the cool thing with Zip is that when guests do this, Zip pays you the full amount for the booking. Done, dusted, you don't have to worry about anything. The guest then follows up with Zip to pay as little as, I think, $10 a week for paying off their Zip account. Now, this is super quick, this is super easy, this is super convenient for a guest to only have to pay as little as that, and it keeps it super secure for you as a business because you're getting paid everything all at once. If guests do need to cancel or adjust bookings or refunds, you can just do exactly what you would do if it was a normal credit card payment. So absolutely nothing convenient. If you are interested in that Zip integration, I do recommend first reaching out to Zip for a business account. They do have quite a few requirements, but if you do qualify, fantastic, let us know. We're happy to connect those two together. We also have our payment plans. So just like Zip, we are allowing our guests that flexibility of not needing to pay that full, for instance, $300 in one foul swoop. Some people don't want to pay all at once. Some people just can't pay all of that in that one go. Or maybe they can't just yet. They need to save a little bit for that holiday. Now, if that booking is all the way in December, we've got months to pay that. By offering that flexible option of $22 a week or a fortnight, so 2 weeks, or monthly, that makes life so much easier for that guest. That means that maybe they can lock into that booking straight away because they know they can definitely put aside that $22 a week. That might even mean that they go, ooh, actually, maybe I can afford to stay longer. Or maybe I can afford to get the VIP cabin instead of basically to upgrade their stay. That might mean they choose to purchase extra add-ons. So all of that is increasing your bottom line just by offering that flexibility. Now, we've got different options. We also have this cool setting here for the next installment date. So obviously they are paying that first installment at the time of booking, but you can give them the option for every subsequent payment to pick that day of week. That just makes it super easy so that they can make sure that it is always grabbing that money out on their maybe date they get paid. So there's always money in the account for those payments to go through. And NewBook is the one that's going to be automatically taking those payments. So there's nothing for your staff to do, which is also fantastic. Now, this one gets even better. Payment plans have no monthly fees with NewBook. That means that if no guest decides they ever want to get it, you haven't paid a cent. You can have it on forever. If no one is interested, perfect. You've tried it. You've given them that flexible option. And Once again, no one might have taken it up. But there is a small fee for those successful payment options or payment plans that are taken up by guests. Now, these are really, really small, and these can be directly offset to your guest anyway. So basically, having this on there, there's no real risk. You can save your guest a ton of heartache of not being able to afford it straight away, or even missing out on this booking because maybe they don't have that full 300 right away. We can get that booking. We can make sure they're booking now, and that new book is automatically taking those payments there for you. So really easy to set up as well. If I jump into my payment plan setup page, this is where I set that weekly, fortnightly, so 2 weekly, monthly option. This is where I can go, hey, yes, I do want to give my guests that option to pick that billing day of week. You don't have to. If you have activities at your property, you can allow payment plans for those as well. Accepted payment method, you can even set this as direct debit if you have that integration, which is really cool. And you can have that full control still of when that final payment plan installment is due. So maybe it's just 2 days before arrival, maybe it is the day of arrival, maybe it's 30 days before arrival that entire payment plan has to be paid up. So everything's still nice and secure. You've got the money that you need in the time frame that you do. You can set the minimum number of payments that are required for a payment plan to be successful or to be available, or even the minimum cost. And as I was saying before, you also have that admin fee. So for our Australian clients, I think it's like 180 per payment plan, so super cheap. This can therefore be offset to the guests because we're charging a 90-cent admin fee per installment. So we're well and truly making that back and potentially making some more money from it as well. You can also set a whole heap of restrictions by category if you don't want to offer it for certain categories or for certain rate types if one already has such a great deal anyway, or even rate periods if you don't want people using this option during Christmas. We want that full amount at the time of booking. You can then track all of your payment plans in the payment plan section to let you know where everything is at. And on the small chance that Johnny just had a few extra payments out of his account, that when Newbook went to take that payment, there just wasn't enough funds in there, you will get a notification. Now, Newbook will continue to take the rest of the payments just like normal, so nothing you need to do there. But if you do want to, you can jump into this one here. There'll be a little button to reprocess that if maybe it just needed a extra little bit for those funds to get deposited for his pay. Or you can reach out to Johnny to see if maybe he just had a few extra bills this week. And if so, maybe we want to be nice and just go, hey, they can just pay that $17.88 when they arrive, and everything else is going to be taken as normal. So that can be quite nice for a guest if they are having a bit of financial trouble, just maybe the once. The other cool thing with this one as well is auto contact. If there is a failed payment in our send after event, you've got this little one here of automated payment failed, so payment plans. So if it has been that the guest just didn't have those funds when Newbook automatically went to take those, you can get that guest to automatically get an email or SMS letting them know that maybe they have to reach out to you rather than you reach out to them to let them know that, or to make sure they've got those funds in the account to go ahead with the rest of that payment. So lots of automation. Once again, we're still giving our guests all that flexibility while getting Newbook to do all the hard work of doing follow-ups, taking payments, and all that wonderful stuff. And because of that, hopefully increasing our revenue for our bookings and getting guests to book right now when they might just be a little bit short for that full 300. Cool. Jumping to our next thing, because once again, we've got a ton to cover. We have as well our deposit rules. So down the bottom here, my guests can pay for that full, pay in full for their booking right then and there, but I've set it up that maybe I want to be nice and offer if they just want to pay a deposit. Now, all guests don't want to potentially pay up front in full, or they aren't able to. So just like with payment plans, they might not have those funds, or they might want to pay a little bit closer to that date. This means that they can, there's no kind of barriers to making this booking. We're getting those bookings straight away. They can place that booking and pay in full. And technically, we already have their credit card details on file, so we can get that money later if we need to by clicking or using our wonderful credit card gateway. Now, Ida is going to pop in some lovely little tips and tricks in the chat on how you can use that or how you can set up those deposit rules using our templates. But another way you can set them up is literally as quick and easy as going to your rates, bulk selecting, and setting your deposit rules. Now, if you don't know what was already set on your rates, this will actually just refresh it and pop in whatever you are going to start nice and fresh with. So for instance, it might be that you want to have it that at the time of the booking being placed, you're just going to charge one night or the cost of one night for any offline and online bookings. And it might be that maybe, let's say 7 days before arrival, we want 100%, including previous deposit, so 100% of the entire booking to be paid up in full. That means if a guest is paying within that 7 days, well, they have to pay 100% anyway, so that's fantastic. That doesn't make any difference. But if they are booking outside of that week, we've got plenty of time. We can make it a little bit more easy or quicker for our guests to go ahead with that booking, or make it seem that little bit cheaper so that maybe they bump up their stay, increasing it or adding some extras by just needing that one night. Now, if I was to go ahead and confirm, I already have these set up. But the other cool thing with our deposit rules is jumping back to automated contact. So once again, this automation, so our guests don't, or our staff don't have to do too much work, is this really cool filter that definitely not enough of you guys know about, which is our deposit owing filter. So if I go that, hey, every day at 10 o'clock, I want NewBook to automatically check who has a deposit that is owing today. So not just that it is due today, but also that it has not been paid. So if it is that 100% that 7 days before arrival, that deposit rule is still due for the booking for Bob or John or Julie, NewBook will know that. NewBook will then use this filter as the trigger. Or you could be nice and go maybe, okay, 1 day after the deposit is due is when we will target all these guys. And you could create a lovely, even a text, it can be an email, but a friendly payment reminder. So jump into your contact templates, find some really nice, cute little wording there to make life really easy to obviously save your staff having those awkward calls of, hey, your 100% is due now, or your deposit risk rule is definitely due now. We need that. You can just get NewBook to send that nice little reminder. Now, the extra good thing about with those contact templates is I've created a few, or I've added this insert field for the pay booking online link. Well, link works really well in our email. URL, same thing. It's just for our SMSs, just because they're plain text only. But basically, pay here, and it will create that beautiful, unique URL our guests can click on their mobile device to go ahead and finalize their balance. So for that 100%. So once again, a friendly little deposit. If you do want to, there's even some insert fields that will just tell them, hey, this is the next deposit due and the next due date. Otherwise, if you want to keep it super short, you can keep it within that one SMS, or even just give them the option to give you a call if for any reason they do need a bit more time to pay that deposit. But once again, still getting NewBook to quickly reach out to them to follow up on all that fun stuff. And make it really easy, again, for our guests to make that payment. Everybody has their mobiles on them at all times. So by literally having that text message sent through, they're going to see it straight away. They're going to be able to click the link and pay from their mobile. So super quick, super easy, and no time taken from your staff to be able to follow up with those. So really handy in that way. Now, those pay online links are also really handy for our invoices. So for our longer term guests, where we have guests that are staying with us, our annuals, our permanents, even just companies and travel agents where we have those invoices. And where can I go? Trying to remember what my little... Let's go to Jane, I think had some overdue invoices. So for lovely Jane, she's one of my annuals. She stays with me all the time. She's terrible at remembering to pay for her repeat billings, so her invoices. And I'm done calling her 20,000 times to remind her about those things. Now, the cool thing with our client accounts, you can set this particular thing for every single client account by default in your instance settings, or if it's just Jane, that is our troublemaker, that is our forgetful person, you can just set it on the individual client accounts that are forgetful. So in this invoice setting, if I go to edit and jump back to my invoice settings, on the right-hand side, I have send invoice reminders. I can switch this on to yes, because I want NewBook to be the one to send out these invoice reminders, not my staff members. And I want to send that initial reminder. Maybe I'm really, really nice and I'm going to go, okay, well, 7 days after that due date is when I'm going to start reminding Jane. I've given her plenty of notice. She knows she has to pay those. But then every single subsequent reminder is going to be every single day. So 7 days she has leeway to try and remember that she had to pay that invoice, but then NewBook will automatically send it every single day while that invoice is showing as unpaid. Now, the best, I suppose, worst case scenario, or the worst case scenario is that that guest calls you up and goes, I'm so annoyed receiving all of these reminders, which actually is fantastic because, hey, guest, or hey, Jane, did you know the way to stop those invoice reminders? Do you want to just pay your bill? Well, I've got you. Let's get that sorted. So that is also very, very handy. You can, the other thing, actually, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Those emails that are sent out feed through from your email template defaults. So the contact template that's used for both of those, if we jump into invoice, I spell things right. In other, these little ones here. So invoice attached. So it defaults to use this one. If you do want to duplicate your existing contact templates, fantastic, and kind of customize these, go for it. You can then select from that dropdown. But basically, the default in the system has a link. Now, this link has a beautiful, I don't know, I may as well show you invoice. Invoice attached, this one here. So by default, it will have an online link. Now, this means that guest receives a copy of their invoice plus a lovely contact template with a really easy link where they can click it to enter in their invoice ID and email to confirm that they are obviously them. For security, it does need to have that information. But then from there, it's just like our pay online link. They can then choose that payment method and that payment will drop straight into their client account. Now, I do recommend with this template to add in the insert fields for that ID and email. Once again, it is part of obviously the email that you're sending, the who it's sending to, and that invoice attached does have that invoice ID, but this just makes it a little bit more convenient if you wanted to add that into the actual contact template itself. So once again, they don't have to search for it. It's right there. But once again, this is a really quick, easy way that your system is sending through these reminders and your staff aren't wasting hours and hours trying to follow up with all your annuals and your permanents to get them to pay their monthly bills, which we definitely want to reduce that kind of that follow-up. We want to get the system to do it for us. And this is quick, it is easy, it is super convenient for our guests to literally just click that little link and pop in that payment. Or obviously at least remember to reach out to us if there is an issue. So definitely customize that, make it your own, make it nice and friendly. The other thing with that one I won't touch on because we are still have lots more to cover, is late fees. If you want to look into our lovely knowledge base, you can create late fees, or you can set if certain client accounts are automatically exempt or not exempt. And basically that means if an invoice has been due for so long, an additional charge will appear, which is a really great way of helping Jane remember that she does want to pay her invoices on time. Otherwise, there will be that fee associated for obviously us having to follow up again and again. So once again, lots of different options there for our lovely guests. And with all of these payments, you also have in your email template defaults your receipts. So in the receipt area, for instance, with our booking receipt emails, these are all the emails that will automatically send a copy of our receipt if it's via BPay. If when our guest or makes those payments online, they'll have the option to email themselves a copy of that receipt. Or if they are using one of our payment plans, once again, they'll be able to select that they or to receive a copy of that receipt. So that happens automatically. You can once again adjust those contact templates if there's something else that you would like to send or tweak, or even break them up by those different types here. But you also have more automation. So jumping into auto contact, we have the event of booking payment taken. So when payments are taken, you can set an auto contact to not only send a lovely contact template. This one will need to send as email to get a copy of that receipt. But you can then select, hey, whichever contact template you'd like, that will send with that receipt. And you can even, with auto contact, therefore filter it based on which category that they're on, which status, kind of filter it based on what you would like it to send out when those payments are taken. So once again, really quick, really easy, getting rid of basically majority of your staff work, getting the system to work harder for you while still keeping your guests informed and having access to all of this great info. Cool. Jumping back, I do believe next we have, one thing before that, we have our, obviously credit cards, they do have fees. We can't get around that one, but we can offset that to our guests. So by jumping into transaction fees, rather than all of our revenue getting eaten up by these, we can pop them or offset them to our guests by jumping into our transaction fee. Basically, it's just creating an inventory item so that you can record those GLs and sub-client accounts. And you just pop in, hey, it's that 2%. And hey, yep, it does apply to all our offline and online transactions. Once again, it's super clear and easy for our guests to see. As we saw online on our checkout screen, hey, we do have that transaction fee down the bottom. Now, please, when you are setting these up, I do know surcharges, they do differ between different countries, regions, and states. So please do double check what you are able to charge in regards to those transaction fees. But once you are, really, really quick and easy to just jump into the system and get that to automatically apply. Works as well for our staff members internally. So no kind of trying to figure out what do we need to pop for our guests. That they will be charged that extra. Those additional charges will be really clear as well, and pretty much all guests know that transaction fees are kind of a way of the world. Okay, so jumping, actually, do we have no, we don't, cool. Perfect. So jumping back to our client account, another payment option, especially for our long-term guests, is our batch options. So with all of our guests that are staying long term, we can jump into this page here to now training database. I only have 2. You could potentially have a ton. But for these 2 bookings, they have authorized that I can use their credit cards. And because they are staying quite a while, at the end of every month, I can actually just come in here and select to process everybody's cards. Now, if when adding those credit cards on file, just like you would have done probably a million times if you have that credit card gateway, it can choose to just use that guest's current balance. So if Jane owes that $345.45, it will just automatically tidy up her account and charge the card that we have on file for her. Now, if you ever have seen that fixed debit amount when adding a credit card onto a guest profile, this one just simply means that, hey, we will only at any time, based on the guest's request, charge a maximum or charge exactly that $170. So once again, slowly chewing away at whatever Bobby's Brown's balance is. Now, once again, this will allow me to then select every single person that I have on this list that has authorized me to charge their card. I can just go preview no and process all of those bookings cards at one go, rather than having to go into each of my guests' accounts to be able to do those one by one by one by one. In the same way, we can also do that with our bank accounts. So if you have that direct debit integration preview, you can do exactly the same thing. So select in bulk all of those wonderful guests that have already authorized that for you, preview no, and select to create that direct debit file, and that will send directly to your bank. So money will get taken from your guest account. It will automatically get shown in that client account that everything has been paid up. So super quick, super easy. And obviously this is going to drop those fees crazy amount. I think direct debit for some, or our new book payments, Stripe integration is about $1 per transaction. So that is way cheaper than that 2% or that whatever percentage that you might have with your credit cards. So this can be a much better way for your guests to still make those payments, to still make it quick and easy, but so not as many fees are involved. Now, if you don't have a direct debit integration, you do still have an option to do this manually, which is our export direct debit. Basically, in the same way, you will be able to select those guests down the bottom, but it will just create the file that you will then need to just give to your bank, and they will then be able to do it. So not as quick, not as easy, but that functionality is still there. So definitely reach out to us if you are more interested in that batching for direct debit, to automate that a little bit more, or to be able to just every month go, yes, we're going to target all of these guys and get it done quick and easy. And with those, so if I jump in, I think I've got, oh, wait, who am I going to? King. There's good old Bobby. John Brown, maybe this guy here. I think he might be my one. Was Bobby? No, Bobby wasn't. Let me find that lovely guest. That's okay. I'll go into, who did? I think it was Jane. Back into Jane. Cool. So for our Jane, that was our very forgetful guest. If we jump back to her booking and jump into her guest, as we can see, she has 3 cards that she has authorized me to use on file. One was removed manually by my staff members and one has expired. So it's really nice and clear. And obviously we already know it was this one that I have been using previously. Now, if I wanted to have a direct debit authorization, I could click this little button here. That would allow me to enter what we refer to in Australia as a BSB. I can't remember. I think it's a routing number in the other side of the hemisphere, an account number. But basically, this is her bank information. I can manually approve it if she has said yes in front of me or she has signed a form externally. But what I would recommend instead is with that direct debit authorization, you can actually send her an email with that email document for signing for a direct debit request. Now, the default in the system is just a template. You can see in the bright red letters, so please do customize this for yourself. But basically what this does is it does create a little clickable link. What that link does is it allows our guest to fill in that banking information. Once they have filled it in, it will also drop into, let me jump back. It will actually save against the guest profile. So in this direct debit area here, when they fill in that information, that will then appear and it will say that it's automatically or it's been actually approved. And you will have that signature as well to prove that that guest has said, yes, they do authorize that card to be used on, or to be used. If I kind of just do one manually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with one of those little testy ones. Perfect, and save. If I was to just approve manually, we can see it has now appeared in here, once again, letting me know it was approved manually, when and who by. But if I jumped back to her booking and jumped to her booking client account, in the account options, I can then choose to go, okay, well, For accommodation, we already know she had authorized me to use her credit card for those manual batch payments, but maybe her electricity, she wants to use her direct debit, or maybe probably more vice versa, her direct debit for any electricity charges. And that one, actually, maybe she's changed her mind and she wants it to just automatically jump out of those accounts. Now, if we set these to auto, this would then mean we could actually get the new book system to automatically, based on the invoice's due date, auto debit our lovely guest. So auto debit invoice, we can choose maybe one day after the due date. That new book will see those invoices drop on in and automatically charge the bank account. So direct debit, super quick, easy. Staff don't even have to take payments once you've set all of those things up, which will save you even more time, automate everything beautifully. And obviously your guests will be super happy because they don't have to worry about making those payments either. It's just automatically taken out of their account. So once again, super quick, super easy, super handy, making our guests feel much happier and having a better guest experience, while our staff can focus on actually just doing those 10 billion other things that we have to do that will also make that guest really, really happy. So definitely have a little look into that one if that is something you are interested in. All big on that automation. And finally, on that side of it, obviously, just like our payment plans, if there is a payment that has not gone through, to save our staff time of having to remember that as well. Remember, we've got that batch automated payment fail option that can automatically send an email or an SMS to our guests to let them know that, so they can reach out to us rather than us having to remember to reach out to them. So definitely, yeah, once again, lots of automation, which is absolutely fantastic. I do think we have, oh no, where is no, not quite ready for our poll yet. Oh yes. So we have gone through our long terms, we've gone through our short-term guests, we've gone through online booking. I want to quickly go through our point of sale systems. So our in-house charges. So for our guests that are obviously having an absolutely fantastic time, we want to make it super convenient and easy for them to be able to, sorry, I'm just jumping into this lovely guest here, to be able to purchase extras. So if you have those restaurants, you have a bar, you have a kiosk, you have a cafe attached to your property. By having those point of sales systems there, it means that staff members that are dealing with those don't even need to know how NewBook works. They don't need to have a NewBook login. They can use your point of sale system to see, or for NewBook to automatically send, which bookings are currently actually in-house, what those names are and what those sites are, so that when they are using their point of sale system and John goes, oh, I'd love to have that beer, that steak and that pavlova, I just don't have my card on me. Staff can go, oh, no worries. Which room are you staying in? What was your name? We can charge it back to your room. You can pay it later. So once again, those guests are going to be super happy. They might end up paying a little bit more than they should be with those fantastic times, because they don't have to keep grabbing their wallet out. And all of those charges, once again, we can see it nice and clearly, can drop into the NewBook system. So we can follow up with them later. Now, if they do decide to pay at the time, perfect, those charges will come into their account and the payments as well, so that if you did want to, you can track what John usually purchases when he does stay with you, if he likes his beers and his pavlovas and his steaks. But if that guest is going to check out, obviously we can just follow up with those payments at that checkout time. Especially handy if we already have those credit card details on file. So if I go to my due to depart list, we can see, obviously, training database, ignore all the yellow down below, but we have good old John. He's going to be checking out today. We can already see that he owes us a little bit of extra money. If we wanted to, we could jump into his client account to see what he owes us, but it is quite clear in the sub-client accounts that, hey, it's just that food and beverage. And we can literally just click this little button here to go, hey, you remember that you had those 2 beers, those steaks and those pavlovas? I know you haven't got your wallet on you right now, but do you want us to just charge your card that's on file? So once again, having that credit card integration and those card details already there make it super easy, quick for your staff and your guests to take anything that is left over. However, if for some reason John's got a ton of charges and he just can't pay right then and there, a really nice option, obviously if you trust that guest, is that you can actually just invoice those remaining items. So they can just leave, continue their lovely holiday, and they can get that lovely invoice with all of those remaining charges. So they can pay, we can get those invoice reminders to go out automatically and to confirm that checkout for right now. Especially handy if we already have his card details on file, because if he does run away and not pay, we have those to kind of charge him ourselves. But by offering that extra flexibility and that trust, that means the guest is going to have that extra satisfaction. They're going to be extra happy that we were able to go, that's okay. You can pay us when you get home and you unpack and do all that laundry. We don't need that money right now. We know we trust you. So that guest had such a great experience. Once again, they didn't need their wallet when they were having a time out. They had a beautiful experience. And those extra charges they kind of forgot about, we can just get that invoice to trend out to them and get those funds later. That guest will keep coming back because we are amazing and we have made all of those payment options so easy, so affordable, and so streamlined without even really having to worry about doing too much ourselves. So, a final thing that I do want to go through with you there today, I don't think I've skipped anything. Yep, cool. Is our actually before we do, we might go through our one of our last little polls. Ida, would you like to pop in our other one? We'll do a bit of a break and my voice can rest from all the talking there. So we're going to have one more poll that is going to pop on up in a second. Oh, maybe there we go. So which revenue report? So this one is something you'll need to have a bit of a think about that we haven't covered in the session. Is best for viewing all applied and processed payment type transactions. Now think about this one. Our payment types, you would have probably seen this report at the end of every day when you're doing a cash up, where everything is really easy. We can filter it. We can see how many of certain payment types have been done in a day. On the plus side, we've got quite a few of you selecting that right answer already. Only a couple of you that, cool, we're about halfway through there. I'll leave it a little bit longer for some of our strugglers to see if they can remember what those ones might be. Cool. And any last people, any guesses? Where do we think is the best revenue report? So obviously some of them will show some of them will not show any. Which one do we think? Okay, we're over halfway. Think we might leave it there. Cool. So while a lot of those will show some of those, so our credit card transaction page will show just our cards or payments that were through our credit card. And some of our payments will just show payments received. They don't also show our refunds as well. But the best one to use is our transaction flow report. Now, I probably don't have too much data in my training database, so I do apologize. But on the left-hand side, all of the different payment methods, so the different payment types that we have here will show super clearly, showing each of those different transactions really clear and the revenue behind it. Also within our transaction flow report, we have a filter to go through all of those kind of different payment methods that we mentioned before. So we can filter out, we can see what has been happening there as well. So once again, really cool, ton of different reports to track all of those payment options that we were showing there before. Cool. Okay. So final thing, now that we've gone through that little poll here, is our final fun thing, which is our brand new payment option. So all in one is our new book Payments by Stripe. Now, the really cool thing with this one is if you do want to switch across, these verifications are immediate. So you can be up and running within a few days. There's a flat rate across all credit card types, including our premium and international credit cards with no hidden fees, which is always a really big thing. And obviously we've got our 3DS Secure, keeping all of those payment options really secure. There is also lots of payment options with Visa, MasterCard, American Express, JCB, it's not an Australian, sorry, Union Pay, Apple Pay, and Google Pay. But my favorite thing is our integrated NewBook payment dashboard. So rather than our other credit card gateways where you need to log into an external gateway dashboard or portal, everything is within the NewBook system. So super convenient, super easy to spot what has been happening. So in here, we can see our payments. I can see all the different payments that I have processed, whether they were succeeded, whether even they were partially refunded right in my NewBook system. Now, on the off chance I do have disputes, this will actually send you a notification. So once again, really, really quick and easy. If we were to click into this one, where we can, double click that too much, where we can see that disputed charge, and we can go straight ahead to counter that dispute and provide all of that information to obviously prove that we did actually take that money. So really quick, really, really easy to be able to follow up on those. Now, with those disputes, you can also adjust your public, I think it's called public descriptor, meaning that how your payments appear in your guest account, you can control what that phrase is. So whether it's, for instance, NewBook Beachside for me, or your property name, it's always going to be super clear for that guest. So that is really, really cool. It makes it super clear for our guests in regards to those payments. Now, it's also really cool with our payouts. So it's going to give you that total balance when that next upcoming payout is going to be and how much for. So a nice little estimate that you can look forward to. And even within these, with bank reconciliation, that can be lots of fun, we all know. But these actually show a breakdown of all the transactions that are linked to that payout. So that makes it really easy to reconcile both of those. So really, really cool. And obviously, because it is in the NewBook system, our NewBook team can assist with that much, much easier than using those external kind of platforms. There's a few other settings in there, so if you are interested, definitely reach out to our team. But my favorite thing about this is the fact that it does, as I said before, link to Google and Apple Pay. So we all know pretty much majority of our guests are probably going to be purchasing from their Apple or their Google phones. So that means that when they are getting to the checkout screen or even using those pay online links, once again, instead of having to type in their credit card details or to find their card or potentially not know where their card is and forget about paying us, they can just click the little button on the side of their phone so that their Apple Pay or their Google Pay automatically pre-fills for them, making it unbelievably super quick and super easy for those payments to take place. So that's something our team are really excited about, that new option. Once again, if you are interested, please reach out to our team or have a chat to Ida in the chat if you want to know a little bit more. But those are just some of the key highlights, which I think are super, super cool and super incredible. Cool. Okay, so we have gone a little bit over time, so I do appreciate everyone hanging on in there. We have one quick poll that I do want to quickly jump on in to see if what our little knowledge is on our manual or this little poll. Cool. So we'll just give it a really, really quick little bit of time. And I'll just jump in. Hopefully I have a good example to show you. I need to jump to my payments. So who remembers the difference? I'm going to try and find you a nice, actually I should have done that through this page. While everyone's kind of having that bit of a guess, I'm just going to jump in to find a good example for you. Okay, this might help. Okay, we've got over half of you already doing. Perfect, and over half of those that have responded know exactly what to look for and exactly what to find it, so that is fantastic. We'll give it one more second if anyone hasn't popped this in, if they want to go ahead and have a quick guess. Once again, it's all anonymous. We don't know who's saying what. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so with those ones, I believe it should be showing on your screen our results with our payments that were taken through our credit card gateway. So that have actually not just been recorded in our system by our staff, but actually physically taken using NewBook, using our credit card gateway. You'll notice this big long reference ID at the end of that payment. If it was just a manual one, you would just see payment and Visa with a bracket at the end because there isn't a reference from our credit card gateway provider. Now, the other way, if you're ever really not sure, is to select our payment, go to our audit log, and in this little green line, there's this little sneaky transaction method. So this is going to tell us if it was taken through our credit card gateway or if it was taken manually by staff. So hopefully they've actually processed it themselves outside of the system and just recording it. Or even if it's through our integrated credit card terminal or FPOS terminal. So lots of different ways to just triple check that the money that you think you took definitely was taken. Because if it was showing manual, that would just mean you would need to make sure our staff did process it outside of NewBook. So really important, that difference of manual payments being that you're just telling NewBook that you already have done it, whereas credit card gateway is taking it, recording it, having everything in there so that there is no risk of errors, because exactly what you see on your transaction flow and in those client accounts is exactly what's been taken. And obviously it makes it really easy to refund if you do need to, or allows you to make sure that you have those credit card details on file. Awesome. Okay, so thanks everybody for sticking around for here. I do know it has gone a little bit over time, but I just wanted to do a quick recap. So the whole point of all these different payment types or payment options is to allow our guests to book faster. We want them to jump to our page. They're already there. We want them to have all of those different options to make them click that payment button. We want them to book then and there. We don't want them to have to search for a wallet and potentially forget about us and not come back. We want that flexibility as well because we want them to think that it is so affordable that they can go that little bit extra for their holiday. They can purchase those extras. They can stay longer. They can look at all the other options that we might have available to us as well. So by adding that flexibility, that will help us increase our bookings and our revenue. And we also would really, really also like to reduce our staff work. So keeping everything as automated as possible, getting your NewBook system to do as much as it possibly can, rather than your staff needing to do all of that manual work. So definitely, I hope you've got some different ideas on how you can make those different payment options or add some additional payment options to make things more easy for your guests, your staff, and feel free to reach out to us if you do need any assistance with those, or use our lovely knowledge base up the top here for a ton of handy step-by-step guides. So just remember, this session is recorded, so you can rewatch it or share it with your team if you would like, or watch any of our other ones. But if you can, please stick around to complete a really quick survey. We'd love to hear your feedback, and if there's any topics you'd like us to tell next. Chat to you soon. I hope you enjoyed.